was great seeing you, buddy. Let's see if we're in tune. Here's our G. Again, if I take my first finger on that G sharp, slide one finger, do a spider exercise, and slide again, that takes up all the possible notes, meaning the next note, right there on that 7th fret, is the same as my open string right above it. Ooh, I'm a little flat. So what I do is I hold that and play that one note above it. And here I'm flat, so I'll go down below it, play that same note, and then use one hand to come up to it. And then I'll do the other note on the other side. Perfect! And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Make sure both my E's are. Then after I'm done, big old G chord to make sure there's nothing funky like it. Groovy. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take you through 3 different types of chords. Each chord is made of a triad, but when you replace one of the 4 notes, which are generally doubled, so in this key, G major, we've got a G note, we have a B note, we have a D note, and then another G note. So we've got 2 roots, both are tonics, G, the third, which determines major minor, the B, or a B flat, B, B flat, B. So there, out of just the G major, you know that that's a minor. And then the D is the 5th because it's 5 notes away, G, A, B, C, D. When we talk about intervals, we talk about our 1 to 1, our 1 to 2, our 1 to 3, our 1 to 4, our 1 to 5, our 1 to 6, our 1 to major 7, and our 1 to 1, or 1 to 8. If we did a minor 7, it would be a different type of scale. Mixolydian. The first one was called Ionian. And the only difference between those two and then Lydian is a raised 4th. Those are your 3 major modes. We influence those when we're playing in major keys. A G major, a C major, a D major all fall into that. But as soon as we start influencing the major chord like the triad, a G major with something other than just a 1, 3, or even in our case a dominant 7 or a major 7, we change it into a sharp 4, which is an augmented 4th, a sharp 5, which is an augmented chord, and then we also move that into, come on in, we also move that into a different type of chord where we explore our 6 chords. So what we're going to do in the future is we're going to take like a C6 chord, see that it's the exact same chord a whole step away, and then use that inside the patterns we already know, like a 1, 4, 1, 5. Why keep it just a G major when we could play a G major 7? Why keep it just a C major when we could play a C major sus with a 7th chord lined up after it, and then we can take it to an awkward chord like that aforementioned D6 to have that resolve backwards to another chord. What we do is when we modulate all these things and move around, it's supposed to be fun and lead us to another feeling inside of our own interpretation of what music is. And you're absolutely correct. If we just play, there's really no emotion. It's the same thing over and over again. But if we can influence the chords of that chord over the G, influence an A minor, B minor, C, back to a G, and then use that with the whole motion. We could then float around the fretboard using the G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D minor from this 2-note fingerings. We can use the C, D minor, E minor, F major, G from these 2 fingerings, and they're all the same. So what we're going to do next week, or when we see again, we're going to work on these types of fingerings together. I'm going to send a secondary video with a play-along video that you can play along and use these structures with. It was good seeing you today. I'll see you next week. Aloha.